Okay, can I go? All right, Kage, ready for the show?
Yeah.
All right, well then, good. Let's do this. Hello everybody, welcome to the Centbee Show. I'm your host Lorien Gamaroff, and my co-host is the greatest Kage Ntshingila on earth. Kage, welcome to the show.
What's up, Mr. G?
How are you doing? We have a bit of a technical difficulty today. Only one of our mics is working, so the set is a little bit different. It's just a little bit of a glitch we've been dealing with this morning.
Yeah, just a minor technical glitch, man. But we're here.
Yes, exactly. And the show goes on. Our job is to try and enlighten you, try and explain to you what Bitcoin was meant to be and what it's all about, and try and teach you how to avoid all the false narratives, the misinformation, the miseducation that you guys have been getting for a decade. You know, unfortunately, there are so many prominent people that are so well respected that have been educating people in Bitcoin for so many years, and yet they've all got it wrong.
They do, Mr. G, and that's the sad part, because even people that you expect like to be well informed, they are not, and you can tell by the narrative that they're pushing out there, you know.
Yes, this idea of decentralization, meaning that Bitcoin is unstoppable and unconfiscatable and permissionless and this and that. You know, this anarchist world where anything goes. You don't have to worry, the man's not going to stop you, government isn't going to get in your way, you can do whatever you want, you can spend money anywhere, you can send it to whomever, without controls, without limitations, without any money laundering checks. You know, that's a fantasy world, and it really just is the antithesis of what value Satoshi brought to this whole space in terms of creating a system that was safe, secure, regulatory compliant, and most importantly, could bring down the costs of transactions, digital transactions, enabling all sorts of business models, but also helping people in the world who have to make digital payments. And recently we were in Kenya, I was talking to Kenyans there, and I was shocked to find out how expensive it was to use M-Pesa, which is their mobile money.
Crazy, Mr. G. And what's sad is that mostly they don't even have options. You know, it's like M-Pesa is the only thing that's there. You have to settle for it. That's why we have Centbee Wallet.
A lot of people think about Bitcoin and crypto as being investments, saving money for the future, store of value, digital gold. And of course, again, that's not what Satoshi Nakamoto was trying to create. It was this thing about bringing down the costs of transactions and creating a system that could eliminate fraud. So this is a very important thing for us to keep talking about to our viewers, to try and make them realize that we're not trying to take away the fun. I think when people hear us, they say, oh, what, you mean that we don't have an easy path to riches? You know, it almost feels like or sounds like we're being a buzzkill. But really, the real value of Bitcoin is so much more wonderful than that. It can make you legitimately rich if you figure that out and then find a way to bring that value to people by creating a business or bringing Bitcoin into your existing business to be able to reduce the cost of transactions, and then you can be competitive. You can outcompete other players in the market. So this is an opportunity. We're trying to explain to people that understanding Bitcoin the way Satoshi meant it to be considered, this is a great opportunity. This is something that can help you way better than all these crypto shills out there telling you to buy whatever crypto token is hot right now. We have the real valuable information, and by taking what we're saying, you will have a much better chance of being able to build real wealth and real skills that can help you in this inevitable blockchain world that we're entering into. So we're not trying to be a buzzkill here. We are trying to show you what the real opportunity is, not the fake one.
Straight up. And also the real opportunity that lies in using Centbee, Mr. G, because, you know, you speak of creating wealth, and I guess the first step is actually by saving a bit of a buck, you know, and you can do that with Centbee Wallet because it's super easy to send money across the world, and I mean, it costs half of what the standard channels usually cost?
I was looking at the M-Pesa fees, and Centbee is more than 100 times cheaper.
Imagine that.
To do a peer-to-peer transaction than M-Pesa.
That. So definitely there is an opportunity in Kenya for us like to serve the community, because I don't think it's ethical to have like one option that is exorbitant in prices and fees. It's just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, I think what we're going to do now is we're going to discuss this whole idea about store of value. Also, I just want to show everybody, again, we're flexing Kage's awesome merch. We both love BSV.
Straight up.
These were the shirts that you made for our conference in London.
Yeah.
And we definitely want to make these available because we are getting requests from users and viewers. Where do we get Centbee merch? So, Kage, we're gonna have to get that going.
Definitely coming soon, yo. Yeah,
cool.
We're gonna drop a merch store, definitely. Ms. GS, we're gonna be stepping into our second segment for this week. You spoke of prominent people in the crypto space, basically, who, push this narrative of digital gold. And I just want to actually read some quotes from them, because these are like big shots in that space, so you can imagine how much influence they have. The first one comes from Michael Saylor, and he's saying Bitcoin is digital gold. Harder, stronger, faster, and smarter than any money that has preceded it. So yeah, our second one comes from Tyler Winklevoss. He's saying our basic thesis for Bitcoin is that it's better than gold. And our third one comes from Chamath Palihapitiya, the founder of For Social Capital. So he's saying Bitcoin is equivalent of digital gold. It is a hedge against the system. And this is the opposite side of it, because this is Peter Schiff is literally countering. Yeah, he's literally countering all of these. So he's saying, when reporting on the overnight speculative spike in Bitcoin, CNBC called Bitcoin digital gold, but thousands of other cryptos also rallied. Are all those tokens digital versions of gold too? In reality, none are digital gold, just modern day digital versions of fool's gold, like we always say.
Yes, digital fool's gold. Yeah. We've brought up Peter Schiff before on this show, and I think he is the best person to go and listen to if you want to understand BTC. Yeah. He calls out BTC, and he understands BTC better than Michael Saylor or these guys that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Because he recognizes BTC as being fool's gold. In other words, it looks like gold, it kind of acts like gold, it shines and glitters like gold,
but it ain't gold.
But it is a gold. So that's a great balance with all these guys, Chamath and Tyler Winklevoss and Michael Saylor. Of course, Michael Saylor right now is just one of the biggest advocates because he's put so much of his company's money into Bitcoin.
Like we always say, people who actually push this narrative have a lot to benefit from it.
They've definitely got a dog in the fight. So that's the idea. The question is now, is Bitcoin, BTC, digital gold? Because remember, the whole idea around Bitcoin was that it was supposed to be digital cash. That's the title of the Bitcoin white paper. Peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So when did this idea of gold come in? Gold is not cash. Cash is something that you use on a daily basis, that you can pay for things. The fees are low because that's the nature of cash. It mustn't be an expensive thing to do. Of course, cash still costs you something. You have to go get it out of an ATM, and there's a charge for that. But the idea of once you've got cash, it's supposed to be something that is quick, is liquid. You can quickly go into a store, you can buy something, a small amount of something, you don't have to spend a lot, and that's cash. But gold is different. Gold is a commodity, something that has value and that people use, and of course one of the quotes was a hedge against inflation. So what does that mean? It means that something that stores its value in a stable way in spite of any economic issues or anything like that that's going on in the world. So now we have to find out, if it's a digital gold, what makes it gold? And so the whole idea here is value, because another thing that they talk about is that store of value. So we have to find out, is Bitcoin BTC valuable? Now, we know that Bitcoin BTC has a price, and we see that on exchanges, and it's put on these news channels, financial news, CNBC, Bloomberg. There's always a ticker symbol there, BTC, Ethereum, whatever, and there's a price. But does it mean it has value?
And like we've consistently kept it, Mr. G, value is not price.
Yes.
Price is not value.
Yes, exactly. Price is what you pay, and value is what you get.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's now dig into something that is valuable. Now, when something is valuable, what does that mean? It means that it has some kind of benefit, or it has some kind of usefulness.
Yeah, some usage to it,
Something that people can take and it will benefit them in some way. Either, if you think about food, food benefits you because it nourishes you and sustains you. If you think about a service like, let's say, Uber, Uber is valuable because it allows me to get a ride, to go from one place to the other. And so things that are useful to us, that provide some kind of benefit, and another word for that is utility.
Utility,
That means that that thing has value. Now, if something that has value, in other words, has a benefit or has utility or provides something useful to me, if it is scarce and useful, well, that means the value increases. And we see that reflected in the price. Because if something is scarce, everybody wants it, it means it's much harder to get, and people are willing to pay higher prices for it. Now, of course, we've seen that in BTC, that the price is high, because one of the most important things around Bitcoin, the way it was created, was that the token was limited in supply. So if now that BTC is useful to me, it provides some kind of benefit, some kind of utility, and it's scarce, well, then we can understand why it has a high price. So now we have to get into the idea of Bitcoin, BTC, does it have a benefit? Does it have some kind of utility? Now, that's the big question. And of course, when we talk to BTC people or people into crypto, they say, yes, it does have a benefit. It does have a use case. I can give it to someone. I can store it. But ask yourself, I mean, again, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. If I can give you something, but you can't use it, all you can do is give it to somebody else, what's the benefit? What's the value?
It sounds like there's no value there, because there's no, like, going back to that point, there needs to be some form of utility to it.
Yes, the utility, exactly. So we can trade these tokens on an exchange. We can send it to somebody. We can store it on a wallet, on a cold wallet or something like that. But at the end of the day, you're not using it for anything. It's not benefiting you. If I have a BTC, I can't eat it. I can't use it for storing information because the fees are too high. I can't use it I can't even think of anything that you can use it for. So ask yourself, what benefit can it give you? What benefit can it give anybody else? There is none. So when it comes to the value of BTC, we have to acknowledge there isn't any value.
There isn't, because you can tell also by the ideology that's been pushed about this digital gold, is people coming up with new tokens just to push a narrative to get, the greater fools to buy into it so that they make a killing.
Yes, and whenever you see these tokens, whenever a new token comes along or something like that, what is promised by the token issuer is that one day this can be useful. One day maybe you can use it in business or in something.
One day.
And so everybody says, all right, well, look at all these great features that are going to be promised. This token that can reinvent banking, or it can reinvent trade finance, or it can reinvent how we do supply chains. Those are all these promises, but yet they don't have anything that can back that. It's just really speculation.
Yeah.
So this is all that, and BTC doesn't even say anything about that. BTC is not promising to become a utility ledger.
No, they're not.
It's just this token that is limited in supply, that is you're able to hold, you're able to keep, and that's it.
But with that being said, Mr. G, there's still some form of volatility to the price. I mean, the confusing part for me is the comparison between like BTC and gold, because we have realized that, you know, there's volatility when it comes to BTC.
Yes.
And we can't say it's a stable form of store of value,
right?
Basically. Like, so how is that compared to gold?
Yes, so getting into this idea of store of value. Now, we've talked about value. In other words, something that can give you a benefit that you can consume or you can use, that can improve the value of your life, the quality of your life.
Yeah.
But now when we talk about store of value, what does that mean? So let's say, for example, you have some food, but you're not hungry. That food is valuable to you, but not right now.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to keep that food for a later time, for when you do want to consume it.
Yeah.
So very often we have things that are valuable to us, but we don't want to consume them or use them right now.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to keep them or store them for a while until we want them. Or sometimes you think, I have something that's very valuable to people, so let me put it on a shelf and then I can come back later when I find a buyer. So a very important thing about value is that you want to be able to store that value for a later time.
You must have a longer shelf life.
Yes. So now we talk about what's a good store of value.
Yeah.
Now, when we look at food, especially perishable food, even though food is valuable, it's a very bad store of value because it can go off.
Definitely,
You know, it can rot or something like that.
Yeah.
So food being very valuable is a very bad store of value, unless it's in a tin can or something. You want to be able to keep that for the future. And things that are good stores of values are things that you can keep for a long period of time, or a word for that is durable.
Yeah, sort of like stand the test of time.
Yes. It means that you can put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
And you know that when you come back in a month's time, or a year's time, or 10 years' time, it's still going to be the same. But of course, gold has always been that thing that you can keep forever.
Yeah.
You know, you can chuck gold at the bottom of the ocean for 100 years and it'll still look shiny and beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. But also, you talked about the volatility of BTC. The value of that thing mustn't go up and down.
Yeah.
So let's say you have something that can last, is durable, but in 6 months' time, people don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
That's not a very stable store of value.
Yeah.
So you want something that not only will it last, but it will keep its value over time.
Yeah.
And you know, there's lots of things that are very valuable today, but not very valuable tomorrow. If you think about fashionable things or collectibles, that always just depends on people and how they're feeling at any point in time.
Yeah.
It might be that, for example, back in the 80s, I think it was, or 90s, I think it was in the 90s, there was this Beanie Baby craze, where there were these little plushies, and everybody was going crazy for them, and they were reaching crazy prices. Now those are durable, the little plushy toys, they can sit on a shelf.
Yeah.
But after that whole fad was over, they were basically worthless. So Beanie Babies at the time were very prized, scarce, durable things, but didn't have stable store of value.
Yeah.
So now we've touched on the idea of something of being a store of value being something that lasts.
Yeah.
Now of course people will look at BTC and they say, well, BTC lasts, it's just an entry on a ledger somewhere, and as long as there are computers and databases and hard drive space, you can store BTC forever. That's durable, but stability, well, volatility just shows us that it's not a very stable store of value.
Definitely.
But now another thing about being a store of value is that you should be able to, once you've taken it off the shelf, you have to be able to get rid of it quickly. Let's say like real estate, for example. Real estate it's valuable to people, it lasts, but is it liquid? In other words, if I wanted to sell it today and I wanted to get the money for it, it's going to take a long time to sell that land.
There's liquidity admin behind that.
Yes, and that can take a long time.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of it quickly. That's what liquid means.
Yeah.
So another thing about being a store of value is you need to be able to get rid of it.
Yeah.
You need to find somebody who's willing to take it off your hands.
And Ms. G, just to clarify on that, because with BTC there are greater fools that are willing to take it out of, the hands of the others.
Yes.
So we need to be also clear that it, for the fact that someone can buy it off you doesn't make it valuable, like as a universal form of value, basically.
Well, what I would say in response to that about BTC being a liquid store of value, and now of course everybody always says, well, but BTC is the most liquid cryptocurrency. It's everywhere. It's on every exchange. It's available all around the world, and there's demand for it. But actually, if you think about it, BTC is also a little bit illiquid because of the fees.
It is, Mr. G.
If I want to send you some BTC, I mean, recently it was $10, $20, $30 per transaction.
Yep.
Now, for somebody who's wealthy, that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But if I had that BTC and I wanted to give it to you and it's going to cost me $30, even $50 in fees, that doesn't make it very liquid.
Yeah.
So these are the concepts that we have when we talk about something being a store of value. And of course, if people are going to say that BTC is digital gold and it is a good store of value, well, we have to first check, is it valuable? Does it serve a benefit? Is it useful to anybody? Okay. Second of all, is it durable? Okay, fine, we can say it's durable. Is it stable? I don't believe so.
It's not.
Is it liquid? Well, there are high fees. And of course, when people are getting excited in BTC because of the limited block sizes, it's very hard to get your transactions into a block. Remember, BTC has very small block sizes.
Yeah.
And you can always see this whenever there's a craze, when the price is dumping or the price is going up, people are trying to send their BTC to an exchange or get it off the exchange. And because of the limited block sizes, it just takes so long for your transaction to be confirmed. You have to pump up the fees really high. So, it just, again, makes it a very illiquid store of value. So it doesn't seem it serves a benefit.
It doesn't.
It doesn't seem to be something that is going to be stable over time. And so we have to really question, is Bitcoin digital gold? And when I say Bitcoin, I mean BTC.
BTC, yeah.
Is BTC digital gold? We have to compare that with gold.
We have to, Mr. G. Because honestly, I don't see any intrinsic value in it.
Yes.
I don't.
That's exactly right. That's the benefit we're talking about. When we talk about intrinsic value, we're saying, does it have in itself value there that we can use and benefit from?
I mean, we can't send each other BTC, man. Like, we spoke earlier on that, true value also lies in the utility. So this clearly hits off the radar. Like,
yes,
it doesn't.
Exactly. Gold has utility.
Yeah.
Gold has a benefit. If we think about what it can be used for, electronics, jewelry, in dentistry, it's such a useful, valuable metal, and it's so rare that it's so expensive that people don't actually use it as much as they would like to.
Yeah.
Because of it being scarce and so expensive. But at least gold has all those things. It has benefit to people. It has intrinsic value. It's a stable store of value. It is durable. It is liquid. I mean, it's very easy to, if you've got gold, to go and sell it to somebody else.
Anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. It's not even a question that you have to convince them that it's something like gold is valuable.
It's consistent value wherever you are.
That's a very important thing as well. That's stable. That's stable value. But they say gold has kept its value for thousands of years. You were once able to buy a really fancy suit with your gold coin, with all the accessories, and guess what you can do today with your gold coin? Buy exactly the same thing. So we have two different things here. They're trying to conflate BTC with gold. It doesn't have any benefit, BTC. It's not a stable store of value.
It's not.
It's not very liquid given the high fees and the limited block sizes. And so really just to call BTC digital gold, I'm more on the Peter Schiff side of things. It seems more like it is
A fool's gold.
A fool's gold. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember the phrase.
Yeah.
Digital fool's gold.
Straight up, Ms. G.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ms. G, I mean, if we're speaking of, like intrinsic value, if we're going to be speaking of like, like a fool's gold, especially like BTC wise, there has to be a greater fool to buy from the fool who's selling. So it's like a fool's game, basically.
Yes, exactly. It really, anybody can ask themselves, why are you holding this BTC? Is it because it's giving you some intrinsic value in benefit? No. Why are you holding BTC? Because you think there's going to be somebody else out there one day who's going to want to pay you more than what you paid.
Yeah.
And that's why you say a greater fool.
Yeah.
So for digital fool's gold, the only reason people want to hold it is because they think there's going to be a greater fool believing in this digital fool's gold.
Definitely.
That they can offload this crypto onto.
Because I have to be a fool initially to think that there's value in this.
Yes, exactly.
Cool, yeah, Ms. G. I mean, we're speaking of value and everything else, but we also need to consider the regulation side of things.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of uncertainty there.
Yes, there's a lot of uncertainty. And this is what makes this whole idea of digital gold and store of value even more uncertain, even more sketchy.
Yeah.
Because let's just say okay, fine, there's this is digital gold, and you have every right to invest in it and use it as a store of value and a hedge against inflation and all that. But the problem is that there's a whole regulatory environment out there that we all live in and operate in. And so if this stuff that we are talking about, crypto, if there's going to be a clampdown on crypto, if government says, look, we're not happy with this, and we want to now shut this down, we want to shut down the exchanges, they might, you see.
I mean, we've been seeing a whole lot of crackdown, basically.
Yes. Yeah. So the thing is that, now I don't know how that's going to turn out. There's a heck of a lot of non-compliant cryptos out there, even BTC. The fact that it doesn't have signatures, it removes the signatures with SegWit, that's made it an uncompliant system. Yeah. And so regulatory uncertainty is critical to consider, because let's say you're buying your BTC and you believe 100% this is a good store of value. Yeah. Let's just say it is. Let's say it has a benefit. But what happens if the regulators say, sorry, it's not allowed anymore? You're not allowed to trade these on exchanges. You're not allowed to send it to people. Merchants aren't allowed to accept it. Then what's going to happen to your store of value? Of course, it's going to disappear.
Jeez, like I got nervous for a second, like I have BTC stored somewhere.
Yes, if you've, that could very well happen. Yeah. So this whole idea of regulatory uncertainty, this is a critical thing to get to grips with. Yeah. Because if BTC doesn't fit within the regulatory frameworks, you are now holding a token that you might love and think is beautiful and is going to change the world, and yet the man out there is going to say, sorry, you can't do this. And they might. There are those privacy coins out there. They call them privacy. They're anonymous, not private. Those are going to be the first to go. So people.
Hold on, Mr. G. Sorry, man. But so with that being said, are you telling me that if maybe I'm in possession of whatever token, I could also maybe end up in jail because I've been sort of...
If you are going to be using these anonymous coins, you are already doing something illegal, because by making transactions and paying for things, if there is no traceable, if there's no trace and no way to track those payments, that is illegal. There is no country in the world that allows people to make anonymous payments.
Yeah.
So those coins for sure already we can say are going to be illegal. But BTC is not very far from that. And so it's very likely that BTC could be clamped down. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it seems that it might. In which case, if you're looking at this as a long-term store of value and a hedge against uncertainty, you might be ending up with something that is going to be valueless if the regulations suddenly become enforced around what cryptos you can have and how you can use them. So, not only do we have this question of what is its inherent benefit, Is it a stable store of value? Is there going to be a regulation perhaps that comes along that makes holding these cryptos illegal?
Yeah.
And now you can't get rid of it, you can't sell it, becomes zero overnight? That's a very real possibility. So these are the things that you have to consider when it comes to holding your cryptos. Is it going to be something that potentially contravenes some regulation? And of course, it's not that those regulations don't exist. Remember, there's nothing really new around crypto and payments. It doesn't matter what technology you use. If you are transacting, there are rules.
There's transaction rules,
They exist.
KYC, AML, all of that,
All of that. And so that's why it's a critical thing to keep in mind.
So yeah, Ms. G, I mean, we've been talking about BTC, and I'm sure even everyone out there knows that we are the champs when it comes to BSV. We push BSV and BSV alone. But what makes BSV different? Like, could it be the actual digital gold, or
yes,
the actual store of value?
Yeah, exactly. So of course we always talk about Bitcoin as cash, and so I wouldn't like us to use the word digital gold.
Yeah.
But actually, if you think about Bitcoin SV and why it's different, now BTC, we've said before, you can't use it for anything because
there's no utility there.
The fees are too high.
Yeah.
The block space is too small.
Yeah.
So you can't use it for anything apart from buying it and trading it on exchanges and sending it to people.
Yeah.
But BSV, Bitcoin SV, the way Satoshi created Bitcoin, is fundamentally different because of its unbounded block size. And because of the ledger, the blockchain ledger, what we end up with is a ledger, this blockchain, that has utility. It has a usefulness about it. And we've spoken many times on the show about the applications and things that you can use BSV for. So if you think about the supply chains or immutable logging on servers, so you can stop hackers. If you think about the NFTs and
healthcare records,
creating tokens that represent ownership of assets, there's so many things that you can use the BSV ledger for.
Yeah.
So that means what we have now is a very useful ledger that has a lot of benefit.
Yeah.
We have a token, the BSV token, that you need to be able to use that ledger. Yeah. So it's a massive contrast between BTC and BSV, where BSV is a very useful thing. It allows us to do all these amazing things.
Yeah.
And so the difference here is that now we have something that does have value. It has benefit to people.
Yeah.
And because of that token being limited in supply, it now means that if people want to use that ledger, they are going to need to acquire those tokens. Now we have real valuable tokens.
Yeah.
So those tokens are really valuable because there are businesses out there today, Centbee included, where we need BSV.
Yeah.
We need to get BSV so that our users can use it to buy things and do all that. But we're just using the token as cash.
Yeah.
There are companies out there, and we've spoken about them, Unisot and all these different companies, who are now creating businesses that require Bitcoin SV to be able to run those businesses.
Yeah.
Tokenized is another one. That's a company that
Tokenized,
provides this cool protocol for tokenizing assets, currencies and things.
Yeah.
So now we can start really talking about a valuable commodity. We haven't used that word yet. Commodity is this thing that we can have that has value to us, and we can use for whatever reason. We can consume it, or we can use it to do things for us.
Yeah.
And so BSV now is a valuable commodity. It has value. It has intrinsic value. It has benefit. It has utility.
It really does, Mr. G. I mean, the proof also is in our product. So yeah, guys, if you haven't checked out the Centbee app, just check it out in the stores. Remember to comment, subscribe, show some love. Yeah, you know the drill by now. Mobile money on fire. BSV has like the ultimate adoption formula. We can see in the wallet. We can see with all the businesses out there.
we can now look at Bitcoin SV as being something that we won't call digital gold, but we certainly will call it a digital commodity, because that ledger is a useful thing to us. And to use it, we need that token. And so that's why we can be confident. And of course, the whole idea around regulation, where BSV blockchain was built to be a regulation tool.
I wanted to mention, because that was the last point we touched on, like regarding BTC. And we constantly have been saying that, when it comes to BSV, it's it's a regulator's body, basically.
Yes, exactly. BSV is something that regulators won't just tolerate, but they'll want to enforce on businesses eventually when they figure it out. They're going to want businesses to record all their transactions to the BSV blockchain. Because it is immutable. In other words, once the data is there, it doesn't get deleted. And it's traceable. There's no way you can hide payments and hide information on that blockchain.
Which is very important.
Yes, it's anti-fraud. And so eventually when regulators figure out this and they stop listening to crypto and they try and they learn about a BSV, they're going to say, all right, that's it. We now want every business to be compliant. You have to have BSV. You have to be recording your information onto the blockchain, because this is the only way we can trust the audit. We can audit as well outside of the organization. We don't have to go and find information within it. We can, because it's a public blockchain. They can do all the audits they need. That's why it seems more likely than not that BSV is going to become part of our lives. Because from the government's point of view, when they learn this, they're going to realize this is a necessary tool. If we want to be serious about clamping down on fraud and also the other benefits, in other words, because governments also want this, they want financial inclusion. And so when it becomes known that BSV can reduce the costs of transactions, then government is going to say, well, we want to use this blockchain because it can add benefits to the people.
Definitely.
Now everyone says, what? Now we're going to have government watching us, and it's going to be big brother.
Because I think that's where the confusion started. I think the whole BTC creation from onset was from an anarchy perspective of saying, we must bring down the system, you must move undetected, but we all know that that was not actually what Satoshi had in mind.
Not at all. Not in a million years. Go back and watch some of our shows. I think I can't remember which one to talk about that. But again, just to talk about that idea of Big Brother. Now, just because it's public doesn't mean that everything you do will be visible. Another amazing thing about Bitcoin SV is that the ledger is public, but being pseudonymous, in other words, you can't see the identities on that blockchain, it's also private. So we can be private operating on a blockchain, but if government wants to find out information, and
accessible.
That's their prerogative. I mean, we elect governments, and if that's what they're going to do, well, then that's our problem. We have to vote them out. But from a government perspective, if they need insight into transactions, if they want to know that there's a business that's operating responsibly, that's not allowing money launderers and terrorists and stuff, they have the power to be able to have oversight over that. But now I wanted to go back to the converse of that. The people can have insight into government too. You see, we can now also have blockchain at the government level.
That's also, Mr. G, because now it extends the accountability both sides now.
Yes, that's it, exactly. It extends accountability both sides. I like that. So we can now use blockchain to keep government accountable. They will use it to keep businesses and people accountable, and we can use it to keep them accountable. So really, we've got nothing to fear when it comes to BSV. This incredibly useful ledger with a limited token, being something that is a good store of value, because you know that there's going to be business who want to use that BSV token. So you can keep it, and you know that it's going to be something that you can get rid of later on. It's liquid. And something that can provide so many benefits to the world in terms of accountability and transparency.
And that's quite funny, because all these also valuable attributes are intangible. It's honesty, transparency. It's like what the world needs right now, especially with current systems, you know.
Yes.
And BSV seems to be championing that.
Yes, that was it. And that is truly Satoshi's vision.
Yeah.
You see, Satoshi wanted an accountable world where there could be no fraud, and of course the added benefit of being something that can reduce the cost of transactions and provide so much value to people, put value back in their pockets, allow people around the world to be able to earn income from remote working, somebody in a third world country being able to do work for somebody in a first world country and get paid very easily. So BSV is this wonderful, useful, beneficial thing that has intrinsic value. It is a store of value.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it digital gold, but to be honest, it kind of is.
Kind of is, Mr. Chi.
Although, of course, we will never tell people here to invest in BSV.
Yeah.
It's not about that, especially because the space is so uncertain right now. And remember, nobody knows the difference between BSV and crypto. It's all just mishmash together. So it looks like we're heading, we're still going to have a couple months, who knows, maybe years of this crazy chaos going on.
Yeah.
But you can be sure that eventually what's going to happen is people are going to be looking around and saying, what is valuable here? I'm tired of all this fluff, all this hopium, all this
Pumpamentals.
all these pumpamentals and dreams, and people getting scammed and just fakeness everywhere. We want to revert back and go back to value. And there's only one game in town.
Yeah.
There's only one valuable blockchain in the world,
Yeah.
and that's the Bitcoin Satoshi Vision blockchain. And that's why we are proud to advocate for it. And we think that this is how the world is going to play out. And if you take us seriously and you get on this train with us, the BSV train, then the world is a bright place for you. If you stay on this crypto train and you think that the only way that you can benefit from this is by investing in cryptos, these fake digital golds, these fool's gold, you're headed for a world of hurt.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Catch your wake up.
Catch your wake up, guys. You heard it from Mr. Gio. Just check out the app on the stores. Also, just remember to plug your friends, man. This is the real BSV plug, like we always say. So yeah, mobile money on fire. Just remember to comment, show some love. Yeah, you know the drill. So yeah, sure. Thanks, Ms. G. That was insightful. All right, cool. Yeah, Ms. G. We're gonna be stepping into this week's questions and feedback from our socials. Our first one comes from Abandoned Steve. He's saying Centbee Shop in Australia is looking sad at the moment. Any info when more vouchers will come back?
Yeah, we touched on this last week with respect to Philippines. Yes, we know that we at this stage have a much more diminished catalog inside Centbee Wallet. This is just a temporary thing, so just please keep looking out. And I think in the next week or so, probably towards the end of this month, what is it, June?
June, yeah.
We're going to be able to populate that catalog again. We usually have hundreds of retailers and brands there, but we've just been going through something with our service providers. And so I think in the next week or so, we'll be able to get that catalog flowing again. So thanks for the comment, Steve.
Abandoned Steve, yeah.
And Abandoned Steve.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
That's cool, because you can tell from what Steve is saying that he's a frequent user. He's saying at the moment.
At the moment.
Yeah. Sure. Thanks for that, Steve. Cool. Yeah. So, our second one comes from Tio Sunkit. They're saying Bitcoin is too tricky for everyone unless government regulates it.
Yeah, so tricky. I mean, there's a lot. You could interpret that in a few different ways. Tricky because it's difficult to use, difficult to acquire. Obviously, not on Centbee, but in terms of the comment about unless government regulates it, I'm not a big fan of regulating everything and over-regulating stuff. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, if you are putting money into a business, if you're investing it somewhere, then you have to do your homework. Yeah. You can't always hope that government is going to look after you. Yeah. You've got to grow up and act like an adult. Yeah. And so if you are giving money to some company or some person who's promising to double your money in a month or whatever, a week, I mean, you've got to wake up about that.
Really, I always found that confusing. Like, imagine you just put in 50 cents and you're gonna get like 1,000.
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And so you, just like with any other business, I mean, it's not just crypto that's full of scams.
Yeah.
Every business out there has the potential to scam you, but you go and do the homework. You look at the background. You see who are the owners of the business, who are the directors. What are they promising? Is it too good to be true?
Yeah.
Check them out on social media. See what other people are saying. So this is just the how life works, right?
Yeah.
Don't expect government is going to come in and fix it all up. And in fact, when government regulates businesses, it gives us a false sense of safety in that business. Just because government regulates it doesn't mean it's a safe business.
Yeah.
The guys could mess up. They could pull a scam. So don't expect government to tell you what are the safe businesses. And just because there's a stamp from a government official doesn't mean now that business is great and perfect and is going to look after you. You still have to do the homework.
You have to educate yourself, yeah.
Got to educate yourself.
Yeah.
So yes, Bitcoin is tricky at this stage, but that's because of crypto and all this false stuff around investing and all that.
Forced connotation, basically.
So yes, don't get stuck into these scams. If it's too good to be true, just walk away.
Yeah.
But of course, regulation is coming, whether we like it or not.
Yep.
And that's certainly going to make businesses a little bit more responsible.
Yeah.
But it's not going to make the environment completely safe. That's up to you. You've got to be a grown-up.
I mean, we have police and stuff, but we still make sure that our homes are secured,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's up to us to actually take that further step. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure. Thanks, Ms. G. I think we've come to the end of our show.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Kage. And that was a whole episode around digital gold.
Yeah.
I think when we thought about this episode, obviously we've touched on this topic many times.
Yeah.
What makes something valuable? But I thought we should expand on this idea of digital gold and store of value. Really dig into it. What makes something valuable and what makes something a good store of value.
Yeah.
Of course, gold for thousands of years has been a fantastic store of value. And just because we don't tend to use gold, I think most of the gold in the world is not being used.
Some vault somewhere.
It is in a vault somewhere.
Yeah.
And so that's what gives people this idea that, gold isn't meant to be used. It's not valuable because it's useful.
Mm-hmm.
It's valuable because it's scarce.
Yeah.
That's really what people think about.
Yeah.
So if you think that's why BTC is like gold, well, you've completely missed economics 101.
Yeah.
For it to be a store of value like gold, it has to be valuable. And if BTC doesn't have any benefit to you, apart from hoping you can push it onto a grader fool, well, guess what? It's not a store of value and it's not digital gold. Just because gold is in a vault doesn't make it valueless like BTC.
Yeah.
So catch a wake up if that's what you're thinking. Look at it again. Oftentimes I tell people, think like a child. This is not complicated.
Yeah.
If you said to a child, look, here's something, you can't eat it, you can't use it, all you can do is look at it, and it's not that pretty. Is this valuable to you? Is this important? They're going to say, no, I can't do anything with it. It's just, but you can give it to somebody else or so. I mean, that's the kind of level of thinking you need to bring yourself down to make sense of BTC.
That's true.
If you're in BTC and you're talking about digital gold, you've got to really remove half your brain to be able to buy into this. But the reason why people can't do that is because they have this hope that if I just buy this thing, it's going to make me rich.
And it's also this FOMO thing, Mr. G,
Yes.
Which has really become a societal issue.
Yes.
Everyone just wants to jump into whatever my friends are in without educating themselves. So it's quite easy to fall into these things these days.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy, especially when you live in the world like today, where there's inflation and prices of things are going up.
Yep.
We want to be able to put our money somewhere where it will grow and increase in value. But BTC ain't it. So please take what we're saying seriously. Just think of it like a child would. If it's got no value, if it's got no use, if it's no benefit to anybody, then how can it be something worth investing in? Eventually, you're going to run out of fools.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
I'm thinking that. I'm like, imagine you are the last fool holding on to that.
Yes.
Hoping there's a greater fool, only to find out you were the greater fool.
Yes, you're the greatest fool. Don't be the greatest fool. The last fool. Caught holding the bag. Cool. Okay, well, anyway, Kage, thanks, brother. Thanks for everybody for tuning in today. Please share and like and subscribe. Share this with your friends. Share this with your colleagues. If they want to understand Bitcoin, real Bitcoin, Satoshi's vision of Bitcoin, this is the show to watch. We appreciate your comments and your feedback. And if you do want to get some merch, then just let us know, and that'll spur Kage on to getting our merch store up there, and you can grab one of these slick, sweet ass looking tees that you've got, and hoodies and hats as well. All right, cool. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining us on the Centbee Show. Please come back soon. Boom.
It's a wrap.